Hi everyone and welcome to another video tutorial. Today I'm doing a bee shaker card where I'm using the front as a solid front and then the shaker inside. So I already have colored my bees and my little beehive, so I'm going to start doing the front. And the way I'm going to do the front is that I am going to stamp that beehive once again. So the beehive I've colored is going to be kind of the inside of the shaker, and then I'm going to line up some tape because I am super stamping everything crooked at the moment, and I wanted this little beehive to be a little bit higher, so I'm just lining up the tape to be able to line up my little beehive. The next step is going to be to cut out the beehive, and I'm using my craft knife and I'm cutting carefully. If you don't like to cut with a craft knife, like I've been doing it for over 12 years, so for me I'm starting to be a little bit better at it. There is a die over at My Favorite Things that is like a hanging bee thing that you could use instead, and just use the die to cut out and then just color the die. The next step is going to be to stamp all of the sentiment and everything. You want to have that done before you put the shaker together, or you want to have a very solid like foam after you put the card together. So I'm using some butterscotch ink from My Favorite Things and some butterscotch cardstock to be able to do this. And I have cut the sentiment apart, just so you know, to get rid of the B part so that I could use these dies, which are the impact capital letters, I think. And then I'm also using the My Favorite Thing glue pen. Like there's a lot of glue pens out there, they have very similar ink, so you can use whatever. However, I have found now, after I cleaned out the nib on this, that this ink flows. It is very, very easy to get the ink out of this specific pen, so I really like that one. And then I'm gonna stamp the rest of the sentiment underneath, again in the same ink. I did feel that this whole piece was a little bit too plain for what I was wanting to do. So what I'm doing here is I'm covering up over the B part because I don't want the splatters on that, and then I'm going to do some splatters. So I'm starting off again with that butterscotch ink, adding a little bit of water, using my little brush, and then I'm just kind of hitting the brush with my finger to get all of these little dots. I also wanted to have like a mixture of dots, so I also picked out the Milk Chocolate Ink. I'm gonna do the same. Doing this with like distress inks works really, really good too, so you can really use any kind of dye inks to make this kind of splatter effect. I just wanted splatters all over it, just to kind of break up the white on the card a little bit. And as you see, I did stamp before and that was crooked, that was why I used the tape. But I'm going to start off by putting down my first layer of acetate. When I do shakers, I do acetate, foam with shaker things in, and then another acetate layer. This makes it easy to kind of place the back part of your shaker, because you can actually do it while looking through it, especially when you're doing like I'm doing here, where I have a colored image as the back one. You really want to be able to line them up. I'm using the Sequin tape because that helps everything to be put together very good, but you can use really any kind of tape. I just felt it was a little bit easier to use a tape that had little tape pieces to be able to add it instead of using my tape runner. So I put my little piece of acetate, which is like the OH film. I bought 100 pack years ago and I'm still working through it. I have so much of that. So making shaker is I kind of like it. And then I'm using these little mini squares. I know it's like a pain to peel the paper from them, but I have so many of them, so I'm just using them up. I think you still can get them from Crafter's Companion. So yeah. Then use a little bit of my embossing powder on the inside. This is to reduce static, which helps from the little shaker pieces to kind of move around. And then again, I said, peeling these off. They're pretty easy to peel off, but there were many. To add into the shaker, I'm starting with a couple of bees. I had the whole card started with these little bees. I had colored a bunch of them for a future project, and then I realized I only needed like 2. So I thought, hey, why not make a shaker as I have colored and cut them out. I'm adding a whole bunch of different little shaker pieces. The first one was Stamp Anything. This one I think is a very old Simon Says Stamp mix that I got in one of the Simon Says Stamp card kits. And yeah, they go everywhere, so you have to kind of peel them off. And these are little stars that I also, or little hearts that had yellowed with time, and I thought this would be a perfect time to put them. Then I add my second sheet of acetate and push everything well done, and add a second layer of that Sequin tape to be able to put my backing on. So yeah, this is my preferred way of doing shakers. It makes it so much easier. I promise you, it makes it so much easier to put on the backing. Whether you put the card directly onto the card base, or if you have just a plain shaker that you add directly on the card base and don't have this kind of layered technique, just having those double acetates, you don't have sequins going everywhere when you're trying to figure to line up everything. Then I'm taking my little colored beehive. I layered this on top, and the front of the card is done. The card is almost done. Cutting away a couple of pieces of acetate because I hadn't cut around that. And then I'm gonna add a whole bunch of foam tapes. Now I'm adding, if you're giving this card away, you can add about the amount I am doing. However, if you are going to send this through mail in a regular envelope, I would recommend filling up that big white space in the middle, because it bends a little bit there. I can tell you that. I'm using the 80-pound Neenah, so it is a little bit thinner. So yeah, that is probably also why it bends. I'm also going to add a couple of bees on the outside just for accent to sort of finish off the card. And this was about the time I realized that B was a little bit too prominent, the text B. So I go in with this Nuvo, I think it's Blizzard White or something like that, or White Blizzard. I love it. Mine is starting to get a little bit thick because I had it for 3, 4, 5 years or something. So I actually picked up a new one of those when I put in an order for Tonic this morning, because I'm running out of tape runners. To finish it off, I'm just putting a little bit of glue. I had a little bit too much, so I just wipe it up with a paper cloth. And then I am adding my little bee at the top, and it also gets stick down a little bit by that glitter because it hasn't dried yet. And this is how the card came out, with all the little bees inside. The bees can shake a little bit, and yeah, it's adorable, it is cute, and I kind of like it. If you did like it, please thumb this video up. If you have any questions, just comment down below, and I will see you on Friday with another video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.